Today in the show we have Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust, Solana Actions and Blink, Untitled, a new DeSo experiment, and so much more. I'm your host, Mauricio Magaldi, and this is BlockDrops, your weekly digest on blockchain for business. These news are not a form of endorsement, sponsorship, or encouragement for consumption and are meant for educational purposes only. For those of you who've been listening to the show for longer, you will recall that in the early days of the show, we covered a lot more of what we called then the enterprise blockchain use cases. Most of those use cases used an implementation of blockchains that were called permissioned. Those permissioned chains were called as such because the nodes that were used to process the blockchain transactions and generate the blocks were in fact permissioned. You needed permission to participate in those blockchain networks. And to varying degrees of success, those permission chains have come and have gone. And it was a time in the industry that needed to exist to make us understand that decentralization is more than just a technology. So it's not a surprise that the Hyperledger Foundation, who's been a staple in such a front, has also opened to more decentralized projects, have encompassed an enormous amount of success across a variety of projects, is now graduating from being the Hyperledger Foundation covering decentralized ledger technology into what will be called the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust. This is going to be an umbrella organization that will leverage the portfolio of Hyperledger projects, but will host new open source software projects with new communities and new standards and aim to amplify the adoption of decentralized technologies. So this is very interesting validation of the Hyperledger Fabric team's success in expanding on their original remit and bringing even more decentralized technologies and communities into the fold, and making sure that this is something that will secure and capture the $16 trillion market size that is estimated by 2030, according to BCG, the consulting firm, Boston Consulting Group. So they're expanding the project, the member ecosystem. They're going above and beyond. They're going into all other ranges of decentralized technology and will serve as what they call a neutral home for open development of ledger, identity, security, interoperability, scalability, and related technologies, and will be a flagship organization within the Linux Foundation to foster that environment. And here I want to quote my friend Daniela Barbosa. She's the general manager for blockchain identity at the Linux Foundation and has been the chair of the Hyperledger Foundation in the recent years. And here I quote her: "After 8 years of advancing the development of blockchain, decentralized identity, and related technologies via the Hyperledger community, the time has come to broaden our efforts and impact. Ledgers and ledger technologies are but one component of the decentralized systems that will underpin a digital-first global economy. Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust is where we will gather and grow an expanded community and portfolio of technologies to deliver the transparency, reliability, security, and efficiency needed to successfully upgrade critical systems around the world," end quote. The press release has other quotes from people that are involved with the Linux Foundation and Hyperledger Foundation, such as Michael Klein, who's the managing director of blockchain at Accenture, Todd Barr, the CMO of Chainlink Labs, Ryan Rugg, my friend Ryan Rugg, the head of digital assets for treasury and trade solutions at Citi, Yuval Rus, the co-founder and CEO of digital assets, and many, many more. I mean, Charles Hadkins, president of Hedera, and so many more. So pretty significant advancement, and also a validation that decentralization goes above and beyond technologies. It has to involve communities. It has to involve standards. It has to involve regulators and legislators, because they are the ones that will consolidate this. We're in a transition world from the centralized to the decentralized paradigm. So every bit of energy added in this effort is valuable, and congratulations to the team, and the push continues. Congrats. In the second drop today, we're back talking about user experience in crypto, UX in crypto, something that we've been pushing a lot here in the show, and obviously a paramount feature in the industry if we want to reach the so-called next 1 billion users. This week, we saw the announcement of Solana Labs' new 2 functions for Solana, actions and blinks. You know, I've read a bunch of technical documentation, and I'll try and explain what these 2 things are and how they facilitate better UX both for developers and for users. So actions is an API, is a programming interface that helps the developers to abstract actions from the blockchain and allow the developers of any type of Web 2 applications to actually call the API and interact with these actions, facilitating the interaction between the users, the website, and the blockchain in the backend. So it's very much a way to allow developers to bring in blockchain functionality on their Web 2 applications, something we usually call Web 2.5. So the way this thing works is like this. You can press a button or click a link or scan a QR code. That action will prompt the action software running and will create a request for an action provider. That provider will reply the request with the available metadata and the actions that can be displayed for the user interface. Then the user interface can interact with that action, and then another request can get pushed into the blockchain, and it will ask you to authorize that transaction with your crypto wallet, in this case a Solana wallet. And then once you approve of that transaction, you sign it and you push it back to the blockchain, your transaction is done. So for the end user, it's a very simplified way of interacting with the blockchain through an application that they trust. It sounds very similar to what Farcaster did with Frames. Farcaster, we covered it in here, is a decentralized social network. And the frames in Farcaster are like mini websites that connect the user to the blockchain. So it's a way, again, another way of abstracting that interaction. And then as part of the stack, they also announced Blinks, which is short for blockchain links. And that extends the actions API and turn them into a link, which is a URL like you would have on a website with additional metadata. So you can actually use a Blink to share a specific action address. You can get a website linked to the action and have it do something for you in the context of your business. And you can also embed that action URL into your website. So it simplifies how developers can add that functionality from a particular developer that they want to bring into their website. So very interesting way to tackle this, including how developers are going to experience that. Because if you're a developer, you're building a website, you're building a service, and you might just want to tap into the blinks instead of having to develop your own actions or configure your own actions in the backend. And this obviously allows for a better pace in shipping features. I have to say that this also sounds somewhat centralized, and here I think we're in that trilemma between centralization, user experience, and security. Solana Labs has an allow list of what are the partners that can use actions in blinks for the time being. So let's see how this evolves, because I understand that this is very much a step in the right direction. I would just hope that this would be increasingly more permissionless and increasingly more decentralized. So everyone gets to own a piece of this supply or this value chain or the data supply chain in the context of these users. Interesting to see. And let's see what the risks are that are going to emerge with this part of the centralized infrastructure. But good move nonetheless. And in the last drop today, we're back talking about decentralized social networks, which is something that I'm very much excited about. This week, I came across Untitled. It's a new SocialFi experiment to reward and promote quality content from creators. This is more of a SocialFi in the sense that they're bringing monetization as part of their business model, which is something that creators in general have a hard time achieving. Unless they're selling out for ads, there's not a lot of other ways for a creator to be rewarded for their content other than ads. So this is a very welcome attempt in turning those incentive mechanisms around. I'm going to try and describe how this new SocialFi works. So every cycle on the platform is started with a title message. So this message is opening for a theme over the day, and it can cover a bunch of different topics. The title is auctioned for 48 hours, on a declining price Dutch auction, and whoever wins the auction gains the privilege to offer the theme for the people to comment, reply, and like, and that initiates the community engagement for that day. Whoever wins the Dutch auction is called the title owner. The title owner is the one that's going to be rewarded based on the amount of engagement that is generated on that title over that cycle. So what happens when the title is out? So there is a topic that the title owner has decided to promote. Then every reply to the title message will earn the tokens for the title owner for each reply, which obviously creates an incentive for the topic of that cycle to be engaging. The comments on the replies will also allow others to earn tokens, and the likes on any of these messages, be it on the title, the reply, or a comment, and the author of the message that was liked will also earn the tokens, which should promote the creation of more engaging content. And this is a direct incentivization between the people that are engaging in the platform and the people who are creating for the platform, almost shortcutting the relationship between creators and consumers of content. So this seems to be an interesting approach to content creation and rewards. So the ideal of these token rewards, or the goal of these token rewards, is threefold: is to encourage or foster the creation of content that has quality, that can create engagement. It can promote active participation from the users of the platform, be it by reply, by commenting, by likes, and it will ultimately empower the users through the auction system So they get to set the theme. They get to choose what's going to be discussed in the platform, which should drive a lot of the activity. To a certain extent, this seems a better approach than the free-for-all mess that is, say, Twitter these days or Reddit. But it also makes me think about the timeliness of the conversation. If the cycles are 24 hours and every 24 hours you have a topic that is being voted or auctioned in the 48 previous hours, the timeliness of the topics that are going to be discussed in Untitled might not be so fresh, which could be a positive thing because then you have discussions of topics that are more meaningful, that are more everlasting, that are more perennial to the marketplace rather than just the last 15 minutes of memes and fake news and all the other nonsense that goes around most of social media these days. What is also yet unclear, and they don't discuss a lot on the website yet, is how the token flow will happen. What is the circular economy? How the flywheel happens, and this is something we'll continue to investigate because this is what differentiates a short experiment to a perennial one. So hopefully we'll see more from Untitled, and if we do, we'll bring this to you. In a week packed full of news, here's more. Banco Santander announced that they're gonna offer trading of Bitcoin and Ether via eToro crypto exchange. Neobank Nubank in Brazil stepping Lightspark to integrate Bitcoin transactions on the Lightning Network. Cardano has suffered a DDoS attack on its blockchain over the week. The chain remained unphazed, but node upgrades are to follow. Also on Cardano, there are two new bridges. Wanchain announced a bridge to Polkadot, and IBC, with the help of Cardano Foundation, is bridging Cardano to Cosmos and Ethereum. Tanssi and C9 Tech announced they're joining forces to launch Brazil's first municipal blockchain currency. The SEC is now suing ConsenSys over Lido and Rocketpool partnerships, claiming that the secondary sales of liquid staking tokens is a securities violation. And the DREX project in Brazil is expanding its scope and will now include verifiable credentials use cases. Catch us online. We're on Instagram at BlockDrops Podcast, on Twitter at blockdrops.pod or 0x Mauricio. We're on Lens at blockdrops.lens. We have a newsletter on LinkedIn. Write to us at blockdropspodcast@gmail.com, and you can listen to the BlockDrops Podcast at Spotify, iColab, Faberbun Tech, and all of the other major streaming platforms. Yay! Shoutouts today to the people who share the links you will find in the episode notes. Elton Melo, Daniela Barbosa, Cássio Gusson, Pat Berisha, Brian Alton, Guto Martino, Philip D. Sarro, Kate Tolley, Luigi Tillier, and Claudia Mancini. And don't forget to leave the ratings on your favorite player. This is all for today. Stay rare, stay weird, LFG.